everyone, my name is Julie Spear and I'm the Assistant Director and Senior Instructional Designer in A.T. Still University's Teaching and Learning Center, or TLC. I want to welcome everyone here in the Zoom room today and those who are watching this recording online. Today's TLC Tech Time will be split into two major parts. First, I'll give a recap of this month's Canvas in 5, and then I'll provide a demonstration. That's what will be recorded and uploaded to the TLC's YouTube channel, which we call the TLC Learning Channel. Then we'll stop the recording and provide a safe space for Q&A and discussion. So because of this structure, I'm going to ask that folks joining us live today, please reserve your questions until we stop the recording. And before we dive in, I want to offer two brief reminders. The previous Canvas in 5 and TLC Tech Time recordings are available on the TLC Learning Channel. Additionally, attending TLC Tech Time or reporting engagement with a TLC Tech Time recording is eligible for half a credit toward Level 2 Technology of the Level Up Certificate Program. In this month's Canvas in 5, I showed an overview of how you can organize and reorganize your assignments in Canvas. It's not a requirement to have watched the Canvas in 5, but we will put the link in the chat now and provide it in the YouTube description for those who want to watch or review that video. Now, in today's TLC Tech Time, I'm going to show you how you can batch edit and set advanced rules for your Canvas assignments. We're going to start off on the assignments page in the course. In previous Canvas in 5 and TLC Tech Time videos, we've talked about how you could set due dates, available from, and available until dates when you're creating an assignment, or you can edit these later. For example, I can click the 3-dot button on an assignment, go to edit, and now I can edit the due date from this truncated menu, or go to more options and scroll to the very bottom of the page to get to the whole assign access area where I can set the due date, available from, and available until dates and times. This is a great process to follow if you only need to modify one assignment's dates. However, if I wanted to update all the assignments in my class, this process of editing dates by clicking into the assignments one by one would get a bit tedious. So I want to now show you options you have for batch editing the assignment dates. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel to get back to our assignments page. And now I'm going to go to the top right corner of the assignments page where there's the 3-dot button, and I'm going to click edit assignment dates. From this page, you'll be able to see all the assignments in your class and be able to change the due at, available from, and available until dates all in one place. If you make changes here on this page, your work will not save until you go ahead and click the blue save button at the top right-hand corner. But I have another great tip for you. There's actually a way that the software can shift dates automatically for you. So let's say I'll revert this date back to Sunday. And let's say that you have originally set up your assignments to be due on Sundays, Saturday, and Friday, but now you want them due 2 days later. What I can do is go ahead and select individual assignments that I need to edit, or I can use this check option next to title to select all of the assignments. And now I can go up to the batch edit option. And so here I can tell the software to shift all of these assignments forward a certain number of days in time. So perhaps I want to shift these forward 2 days. And if I click confirm, we'll see that those are now shifted 2 days forward. Things that were previously due on Sunday will be due on Tuesday, etc. If I go back to batch edit, I do want to point out that you cannot shift the dates backwards in time. You can only use this to shift them forward. And so if we did want to reset or remove all the dates from the assignments and start from scratch, we can do that as well. So we can select this remove dates option, and here we can remove just the due dates, availability dates, that's the available from and until dates, or we can remove both of them. So I just wanted to point this out as a really handy tip. Again, we would want to make sure that we click save to save our changes before proceeding. Switching gears a little bit now, I want to talk about other advanced features that you have for assignments. And one of these options relates to the idea of dropping scores. So if we go to one of our assignment groups and click edit from the 3-dot menu, we can see here that we have an option to tell the software to automatically drop or ignore a certain number of scores for each student. You can set a certain number of lowest scores or highest scores. So this is really handy if you plan, for example, to drop the lowest weekly problem set in your course. Here, I could come in and I could tell the software to drop the single lowest of the problem set scores in this assignment group. But it is possible that in your assignment group, you have certain assignments that you don't want to be dropped. So here we also have an option to indicate whether there's assignments that should never be dropped. To do that, we can click Add an Assignment and use the drop-down to select one. So for example, maybe the problem set portfolio is one that should not be dropped, even if it is the lowest score of everything. If you have other assignments that shouldn't be dropped, you can click the plus Add Another Assignment and follow the same process that we just did using the drop-down menu. If you're going to use this option, please make sure that you're not only communicating it in the software, but that you're also communicating this policy to your students in class verbally and through your syllabus. So if I go ahead and I'll remove the additional assignment, we'll keep the never drop to just the problem set portfolio. And if I go ahead and click save, we can see that now that rule has been applied to this entire problem set group. So if I hover my cursor over, we can see that this will drop the lowest score and that we will never drop the problem set portfolio. Another advanced option here relates to weighting assignments. There are multiple ways that you can have assignments weighted in your class, but one option here is in the assignments page to go back up to the three-dot menu at the top of the page and click this assignment group weight option. When we do that, we'll have an option to toggle whether we want to weight the final grade based on assignment groups. And for this case, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and do that. When we check that box, we'll have an option to determine how we want the assignment groups weighted. So for just demonstration purposes today, let's say that I want 20% of the points in my class to come from students watching the video assignments, and then I want the remaining 80% of the points to come from the scores in the problem sets. We can either enter the numbers using the text box or use the arrows to change these percentages. But I do want to point out that the software will not stop you from going over 100. You won't get an error. So do be careful if you're using this feature. For example, if I were to accidentally go over 100%, I could go ahead and still click save and the software wouldn't prevent me from doing that, but that would cause problems in the gradebook. So make sure that your total score here is only summing to 100. If I click save now, we can see that on the gray assignment group bar, we see what percentage of the total points will come from each of these assignment groups. So again, 20% of the total will come from the video assignments and 80% of the total will come from the problem sets. This is visible to us. It's also visible to students in their assignment view. So if I go to student mode for a moment, I'll quickly show you that when they go to their assignments page and show by type, they'll be able to see again that those rules have been applied by you, both for the dropping the score and for how these percentages have been weighted for the groups. Lastly, I want to show you how you can set up custom scoring options for your assignments. So for this, instead of looking at the assignment groups or these gray bars, we're going to click into editing a particular assignment. Again, we can get to that by clicking the three dots on a single assignment and clicking edit and then more options. Or if I go back a second, we can click on the name of the assignment, edit, and then we'll get back to that full assignment page. So two different ways you can get to the same place. Here, I'm going to scroll down to display grade as. And when we set this assignment up, we set it up to be displayed as points. But we do have an option here to set this assignment up to be graded by letter grade. So A, B, C, etc. If we select that option, we'll see that there are some pre-built grading schemas in the software for you. So there's this default Canvas grading scheme, and then there's some other grading schemes that have been added at the ETSU account level. When you get started with this, I always recommend clicking View so you can see how that grading scheme is set up. We can see here that an A is being defined as 94% to 100%, and A minus is being defined as anything less than 94 to 90. So here we can see this entire grading schema from A all the way to F. I'm going to go ahead and click Cancel here and point out that if this isn't how you want your grades to be set up, you can click Add New Grading Scheme or Plus New Grading Scheme here. So here we can give this a name for just demonstration purposes. I'll call this Julie's grading scheme. And we can have this to be set up to grade by percentage or grade by points. So you can set it up either way. So let's say in my program, department, or school or college at the university, in our grading scheme, an A is defined as a 93 to 100. I can change that value in the A range, and you can see that that adjusted the A minus range accordingly. I could bump this up if we had 95 to 100 as what our A was defined as, and again, it updated the category below it. We also have the option to add or remove letter grades. And this is important because in some departments, you may not use the A plus, A minus, A options. There may not be pluses and minuses, or you might have them. And here, for example, there's no A plus. So let's say I wanted to add an A plus. I could click the plus to add a letter grade. I'm going to shift the A down and make the top one the A plus. And here, let's say an A plus is 97 to 100. We can set an A to be a 93% to 97, and we can set A minus then to be 90 to 93. So just for demonstration purposes here, I wanted to show you that you can add letter grades in, but we can also remove them. So I'm going to click this little trash can icon to get rid of the pluses and minuses if those are not part of your program, department, or school's grading schemes. And now we would want to make sure that we adjust all of these numbers properly to reflect the scheme for our respective program, school, or department. So just for demonstration purposes here, we'll make some quick adjustments, and we would want to make sure to click Save on this grading scheme pop-up menu here. We can see that the grading scheme has been changed to the one that we just created, but we could always go back to any of the other pre-builts or create a new one. And we not only need to save that change up here, we need to save it for the assignment as a whole. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom and click Save. Now I want to show you what happens if we were to score this assignment. So I'm going to go to SpeedGrader now. Here I'll score the test student in this course out of 10 points. So the nice thing here is I can grade it out of points. Let's say this person earned a 10 out of 10. If I go ahead and then click out of that text box for the points, you can see that the software automatically changed the number of points into the letter grade according to the schema that we had created. So 10 out of 10 gets translated to an A. If I then rescore this person and I give this 8 points, we can see that adjusts to a B. If they earned 5 points, for example, we can see again that generates a letter grade, and here that translates into an F. So it's a nice way that you can set up the grading to reflect the policies of your particular situation for your course. Again, you would want to communicate this grading scheme to students so they can understand it, but you have that customization option, and then you can grade the assignment in points, and it can get automatically translated into that letter grade. So to recap, today we talked about several advanced options you have related to editing dates and how assignments are weighted or graded in Canvas. In just a moment, we're going to stop the recording and open the floor as a safe place for live Q&A and discussion. But before we do that, I want to thank you so much for your time and participation in today's TLC Tech Time.